Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Thaco Gamers, and thank you for joining us in our first impressions of Elite Dangerous. This game is a MMO space simulator. It's pretty amazingly awesome. We like it a lot, and if you want to find out what we like about it and details related to that, just stay tuned.
No more typing.
Don't you tell me what to do. You can't run my life.
And the Thaco Gamers are back.
What? Do you think that's what I do? Like, just mid-conversation, I start these up?
You do.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thaco Gamers. That at least shows that you've been watching the videos, though. That's nice.
I've been at every one, so I'm pretty sure I remember something about them.
Welcome to the Thaco Gamers, and today we're going to talk about Elite Dangerous. And I have Chad, who seems to be rearranging his room right now, or maybe Matt, one of them, making some noise. And Matt and I have been playing Elite Dangerous. Chad hasn't really been into the game that much. He's dabbled with it a bit, but he's going to be here just to kind of maybe have some questions or comments about it, but mostly Matt and I will be talking about it. Go ahead, take it, Matt.
Dude, so check this out, man. Elite Dangerous. Take control of your own starship in a cutthroat galaxy. Elite Dangerous brings gaming's original open-world adventure into the modern generation with a connected galaxy, evolving narrative, and the entirety of the Milky Way recreated. The entirety of the Milky Way recreated and its full galactic portions. That's insane. 400 billion star systems. Infinite freedom. Blaze your own trail.
Nicely done.
Matt out.
Drop the mic. Drop the mic.
Whoops.
So yeah, and we were actually talking about this just before we started the recording here, and you can go beyond the 400 billion stars. And there was actually that story we were reading, Matt. I was just about ready to tell Chad, but I figured we'd save it for the stream here. But about, remember that girl that wandered out there and ran out of gas?
Oh, yeah.
And there was this whole like collected effort for the fuel rats, which is like an in-game in-game fuel delivery system, basically. And
it's a guild.
Yeah, it's a guild
formed to help pilots who have run out of gas.
Idiots like me.
Get a call. Yeah. Oh, dude, you should have done that.
What?
That would have been funny.
Just
called the
fuel rats.
Fuel rats. Dude, I'm telling you though, man, this game it's amazing. So we got to talk about it.
Okay, so basically, I guess we'll just go right down through everything. We'll start like we do on the other ones with the character creation. In this, and I'll actually go down to my dude here. It's not super amazing because you don't really see your guy ever except on little pictures. I mean, and you can kind of look down at his toes and hands on occasion.
But I do see you every now and then.
Oh, that is true. When we're in the ships together, Multicrew is another thing we got to throw on there too.
So cool.
So character creation is pretty basic, but you still get that because they actually added that in later. That was something that didn't come with the game when it launched, and a lot of people wanted it, so they gave character creation. So, and my guy looks like House. Like,
so are you creating
House.
an entire character or just like the photo, like shoulder?
No, you create the whole character.
Okay.
You create your pilot. It's basically like the head and then body proportions. And then they fit the body into a spacesuit. But you have full control of, like what your character's face and hair looks like, scars and, pop marks and age and all that kind of stuff. So it's got a fairly in-depth, but it's not like super... like
in depth.
I was trying to think of something other than in depth.
Where are we going?
Let's try to keep this under an hour, huh?
Hey, 5 minutes, right?
But no, and it's cool for what it is, but I don't even need it, but it is kind of nice. Like when you said when you're a Multicrew, it was neat, especially because you could play this game totally in VR.
Right.
And I'll do a separate review on the VR portions of this. This review here is just about the game in general. But I will mention that having that character creation was neat sitting in VR when Matt and I were piloting a ship together. And I looked over to the left and saw his dude sitting next to me in my basement here. It was awesome. It was
And then
so
you
cool.
got up and walked around my
I
ship.
did. I got up and walked around your ship. That was so cool. So now, one thing about this game is it is Eve-ish as far as it's this does not hold your hand is what I'm getting at with that. If you look
I
at the
almost threw up
reviews
in my mouth.
if you look at the reviews on Steam, this doesn't get a lot of love at all.
It
but
should.
I know it should, but it doesn't. But this game doesn't hold your hand. It is a difficult game to get into as far as controls and everything else. And going into like the tutorials, even the tutorials, I spent 3 or 4 hours going through the tutorials, learning how to take off, to fly out of your spaceport, to go to find another one, to lock onto it, to do your frame shift drive, which is like your warp speed over to the next star, find where you need to go. Landing was hell. And
once you do it a few times, though, I feel like it becomes second nature.
It does,
because it's really tough in the beginning.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you, like I started on there's 3 different modes that you can play this game with. You can play it with a keyboard and mouse. You can play it with your controller.
No,
or
you cannot
can
play it. You cannot play it with a keyboard and mouse. Unplayable.
You could try, right?
I played it. I was doing pretty well.
A
with
little
it.
but you were very, very upset with trying
I was.
with trying to drop out and stuff like that from warp speed.
Landing was horrible.
Matt would drop out of warp speed and be like 200 miles away from me, and we couldn't do anything.
200 miles, like 200 light
Oh, that's
years.
true. Yeah.
Right.
But so there is that aspect to it. So if you look at the reviews online and stuff like that, it's really, from me having some experience with the game, it's just people that want an arcade thing. They want to go hit a button to launch and be into the combat and do that. And because it's kind of a simulation style game, there is some time where you're just traveling to get to where you want to go. But that creates such an immersion for me that I love it. I mean, there's nothing about any of that I dislike. I think it is so cool. But I just wanted to put that out there that for a lot of people, or for some people, this game is not for them just because it does have a learning curve, but it's not. And this is the difference between this game and Eve. The learning curve is fun.
Yeah, the learning curve is fun. There are a lot of menus, but not as many as Eve.
Yes.
And you're actually piloting your spaceship.
Yep.
You're flying it. You're doing the combat. It's not automated. It's pretty freaking sweet.
Mm-hmm. And as you were saying that, I was going to show some leaving the space station, and I crashed into a wall. Trying to operate a few things here, but
that happens every now and then.
Yeah, it does on occasion. You said you crashed into a ship when you were.
Oh my god! Yeah. So, do yourself a favor if you get this game, or when you get this game, because you should if you're listening to our review. Get at least an Xbox controller.
Yes.
At least an Xbox controller if you're not going to go full VR, throttle and joystick and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Get
and you
at
don't
least
even
the Xbox controller.
Yeah, and you don't even need. I mean, VR is great, but you don't need VR to do the HOTAS, the hands-on throttle and stick. Those are, and you can find them. Remember that one I found at Micro Center, Matt, for $50. And so that's basically the price of your Xbox controller. So if you have the room and want to do it and are buying a controller, I would recommend the throttle and stick.
My Xbox controller was like $15.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit better than 50.
But
now, Matt, you controlled it on both, right? Which one was better? I mean, was it a huge advantage having the throttle?
I've tried it on all 3. I actually went to Matt's and did the VR. The VR is like completely different, but the controller, you still use the keyboard a little bit, but basically the controller takes over like your mouse and some automated mapped out buttons. Your firing and some of the other things that you can do with it. But it really makes the game easier to maneuver around your spacecraft and be able to pilot it and do some pretty sweet, aerobatics and all that kind of stuff. So I would definitely suggest controller over keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, and I like and I haven't honestly used the controller. I went from keyboard and mouse. Oh no, I did. I did use controllers when I first started. For me, the throttle and stick are well worth it. Well worth it. And I'll actually put you know what? I'll probably actually end up doing a review on these things just so people can kind of see what they're like. But I have the Cytec X52. There are some that are actually probably a little bit better than this that are cheaper. Chad got the Thrustmaster, but he hasn't had a chance to use it yet that much, I don't think. But
not a whole lot, no.
Yeah. So as far as where were we on there? So we were talking about the tutorials. The one thing I would say is make sure though that you go through all of the tutorials and listen to what they say. You can't don't just close and skip menus. Sit and listen to what the woman has to say. In your ears and do what she says.
Follow directions.
Follow directions.
Hate yourself
later
on.
But they do walk you through how to do everything, but there's a bit to learn to it. But it is so. I've never felt so accomplished coming out of a tutorial. Honestly.
I know when you finish it. Did you finish the second the hard combat?
Combat one.
Oh my god, dude, it was so cool. Like when you get done with it, you're like, holy crap, I just took out 3 ships all on my own.
And they'll start you off like with the combat ones. You just sit there and she's telling you, okay, that guy is trucking illegal goods or something like that, and you target them and scan them and do all of the things that the game requires for these quests that you're going to do. And then the battle just starts right there, and you die, and you can just do it over and over again. So that helped with the combat training and everything else too. It was very, very useful and enjoyable tutorials.
Right. And all of the tutorial stuff that you can do goes along with the missions.
Absolutely.
Like, everything you learn in your tutorials, you're going to apply in your missions. So they're not giving you a bunch of useless knowledge. They're giving you stuff that you're going to be using throughout the entirety of your gameplay, which is really cool.
So, I guess now the next thing, part of what they talk about in there, they teach you how to travel and they teach you how to do combat. So I guess we'll kind of talk about those things a little bit. Like basically for travel, like where I'm at in the game right here, I just left the space station and I can open this menu system here and pick, we'll just pick Moxon's Mojo. Is that one of the, that's probably where I'm at, isn't it? So I'll pick Mestraccio Park. And I'll lock the destination on that. So now on my radar, you'll see to the left like a picture of what that looks like, that space station. And then there's that little blue dot right next to it in that little circle there. And to align with it, you just set that blue dot right in the middle, and you'll see it's in front of me. And then you just go and charge up and go into warp drive and head that way. And then there's just some time, and there's a bit of a what would you say, like to drop out. That's a mini game in and of itself, to drop out in the right spot.
It takes a certain skill.
Yes.
But once you do it a couple of times, you can get it every time, and don't rush yourself, because once you do, then you're going to have to loop around, and that's always fun.
Yep, the loop of shame, which I do all the time. So like on the lower left, I just went into warp speed here, and on the lower left, there's a distance and speed, and there's those blue areas, and you want to, as you get closer to there, you want to drop your speed down to where it's in the blue and have the distance in the blue, and then you'll drop out of your warp speed, and that space station will be right there. If you miss it, you either loop around and come back, or you drop out in the wrong spot, and it's impossible in real time to fly over to where you need to be. You have to get back into warp speed to make it over there. So
and that's the same way. That's the same way that you would go, like if you're, slowing down to go into a space station, that's the same way that you would slow down to go into a planet, or to go into combat, and go into
or to go into combat.
Anything, if you're trying to go to a destination, once you get there, you can't be there in light speed, or you're going to fly past it, which is
happens
in all
a lot.
Essence true to life.
Yes. And over here, and Matt is, you must not be in here near me now, but if Matt and I are in the game together, partied up, he'll be in this list of contacts here, and I can select him and make him a target. And then I can just do the same way you do with the space stations and everything else. Just make your way to where he's at and drop out at the right time to be able to help him with combat if he's being fought. We actually spent a whole night trying to figure it out, and I spent the next day researching it and finally found out what we were doing wrong. And we're like, this is not playable in multiplayer, but one of those things you just have to pay attention. You can't.
Yeah, you can't just bypass it. But yeah, it's really cool once you get it, though, man.
Absolutely.
It's super cool to be sitting there fighting someone, and then all of a sudden you hear the and another ship comes flying, and it's your buddy. You know,
and it looks so cool too.
It does.
But and people can pull you out of warp speed. You can be in this. They're called interdictors, and they'll just grab you. All of a sudden, you're flying all wonky, and there's a little mini game to not get drug out of there. But if they drag you out because you have a warrant or because they're a bad guy or whatever, you know, you have to fight them or try to escape or do whatever. And we've had that happen to us before, and we can interdict each other. We've just for fun.
Just for fun. Yeah.
And it's full PvP. Any players in here.
Each other up.
And most people don't do it unless you're streaming. Then the viewers like to go kill the streamers.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. We were streaming last night, was it?
It was a couple nights ago, I think. Yeah.
We had a guy jump in chat, and he was like, "Where are you guys?" We're like, "How about we're not gonna tell you?"
But he found out though. But then he was like, "Oh, you guys were on PC. I was on PS4." So he fessed up.
And then he went and found another streamer and started killing him.
Yeah.
And telling us about it. So community. Semi sort of toxic.
No, I wouldn't say that. I think the community is actually pretty sweet.
It's not bad.
The community's only toxic when you're online playmats. That's when the community
Right.
goes bad.
I think I tend to draw that toxicity out of people.
So, like, tell me, how do you get the different ships? Are there all kinds of different ships?
Yes.
You mentioned
there's
that
tons
there's
of them.
ships that multiple people could be in. So
Yeah.
how does that work?
Oh my gosh. Man.
Basically, I just dropped out, and here's a space station here just to kind of let people know about that. But anyways, I'm just going to park now, and we'll talk, and I'll put some B footage in there. But you go out and do the quests, and just like any game where you're trying to get armor and upgrades or whatever, you go out and quest and get money and come back and purchase them.
Okay.
And there is a really cool video. I'm actually going to put a link in the description to it that shows each ship and the scale of what they are. Did I ever send that to you, Matt?
Yeah, I saw.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous. The ship
freaking nuts.
The ship that you start with is like a fleet of the size of a house once they scale up to these biggest ships that are in there. It's ridiculous.
Oh, and they're massive. And some of the biggest or bigger ships, they've got multi-crew capabilities, but they've also got you can put you can put another person in your ship, but you can also put like 2 or 3 people in your ship. And then there's, one's controlling guns and shields, and the other one's controlling, all this like shafts and, anti-aircraft missile defense and all that kind of stuff. But there's also ones that you can put other ships in. That's how big they are.
Yep.
You put other ships in, and basically what happens if you have a multi-crew, and picture this, you've got this big, huge hauler ship, and you're flying through this, space, and you're flying through space to go to your destination, maybe delivering some goods or something like that, and all of a sudden you get interdicted. You get pulled out, and there's 2 or 3 ships flying around. You've got 3 buddies in your ship.
They could drop into ships.
Dude, they just jump into a ship, and they fly out and defend you, man.
Yep.
And they're just sitting there.
It's like
amazing.
Star Wars when like the Star Cruisers show up and then the TIE fighters and everything all pop out and start fighting, and it feels like Star Wars when you're in a combat zone. It's ridiculous.
Dude, I'm telling you, I went into a high conflict, a high intensity conflict zone, and it scared the crap out of me. This big, huge ship. Like, I had no idea, man. Like, this thing just came in and it said, I was trying to get away from somebody, and it said that I couldn't jump into warp speed because of the gravitational pull of something. And then all of a sudden this big ship just flies in, and I hear over my intercom, it like literally took up my whole screen. And I'm like trying to get away from it, and it says, you need to get out of here or else we're going to start firing on you. And I was like, okay, 10-4, peace out. But dude, I mean, this thing flies in and ships are just tacking it. It literally was like a space battle in Star Wars. It was just, it blew
crazy.
my mind.
So that being talking about the Multicrew, I mean, that was something that they had added later, and it is a lot of fun. Matt and I have had a lot of fun with that, and we had kind of heard bad things about it, but I think they've patched a lot of that stuff out or something that people had gripes with, because I thought it was a blast. When we went through and did those Multicrew missions and stuff, I had a really good time with it.
It was really fun, and it was pretty seamless. I mean, it goes to a quick load screen, but it is fairly quick, and immediately pops your other person into the seat next to you, and you can look at them and see what he actually looks like.
It is. It's cool.
Nice.
And then, I mean, they're pretty detailed with everything that they do. I mean, if your guy goes to move his hand forward, it shows it.
I know it does. It's cool.
So it's pretty sweet.
So now, as far as that, when you're together, or even if you're by yourself, there's all the kind of missions that you can do in there too. And there's I don't know, there's the combat missions, there's mining. You can go out and just mine ore off of asteroids, and you can do that to make a living if you want.
Yep. You can trade. I mean, you can
transport
bring goods from one place to another, also known as transportation.
Yep. You can also buy. Well, you can buy. It's a market though, but not like a player-driven market. It is player-driven, but not in the way that you're used to, like with the auction house in World of Warcraft.
Right.
It's player-driven in the sense that you can go to a place and purchase like kind of a, and this is where it gets Eve-ish, but it's not as bad as it sounds, but you can purchase like a thing that shows what commodities are needed in what areas, and it'll also show what things are available in areas. So you can see that some type of ore is really needed in the LHS 3 whatever system, and that's 10 light jumps away or whatever. You can, and it's available where you're at. You can buy it there and take it to where they need it, and the further away you go where it's not available for them, you can get a ton of money for that. And the more people that do those, the game actually kind of calculates like, oh, okay, there's more of this ore here. They don't need that anymore, and
the prices drop.
The prices, the prices drop, and you are actually affecting the market. And the same thing with when you do quests. If you go into a system and there's two factions battling for control of that system, you can choose to side with one or the other, or do quests for one or the other, and as the player base does quests for one side or the other, that will eventually determine who wins and takes control, or if it's a constant civil war because both sides are getting equal amounts of help. So that is all, kind of built into the game, and it's pretty neat how you have every person has an effect, and you can play this game in single player mode. You can start the game off and just go in single player, but all of the things that you do still have an effect on the economy of this whole world. So you're still online as far as the quests that are available, the factions that control everything, the marketplace and everything else. So everything that you do is still going to have an effect on all of that, which is awesome.
And believe me, even if you're playing solo, the NPCs that are flying pirate ships and all that kind of stuff are
douchebags.
Not forgiving. The elite ones, they're elite. They're hard.
Yes,
it's
they
not
are.
Like World of Warcraft elite, where you can just run up there and it takes a little bit longer to take them out.
Yep.
No, you have to fly your ass off to take these guys out, man. They're tough.
So what happens if your ship gets destroyed?
If your ship gets destroyed, you basically have, and I'll actually show it on the menu here, 3-4. Oh, that's right, they changed this up. Inventory. They're right here. So right now I have 500,000 credits. I had a lot more, but Matt and I exploded a lot tonight.
Yeah.
But my rebuy cost for the ship that I have is 27,000 credits. So if I die, basically you just need to have enough insurance money available to rebuy everything. If I don't have that 27,000 credits when I die, I lose my ship and go back to the starter ship. So you just need to make sure, and 27,000 credits is not, it's like 2 quests or 1, or not even 1 if you do
like
a bigger
one.
Yeah. So it's not much money at all. Like, I don't have a lot. I've had much more money than this, but I have a bunch of ships now as well. Matt does too. We just, as soon as we get money, we spend it.
That 2-person ship that I have, when that blows up, it costs me like 1.6 mil.
Yeah.
It sucks.
So, but yeah, it's not. That's basically all that happens. You don't lose everything; you just lose a little bit of money. So just don't be stupid and make sure you have enough money when you go out to be able to rebuy what you have. And if you don't have enough money for it, you can either get another free starter ship, or you can pick one of the. Like I have a bunch of ships in storage, and I can just pick one of those and get them. So that's kind of how that works.
Right.
So. The next thing unless you had something else to talk about with missions, was there anything that we missed on there? Okay.
Nope.
So, the graphics on this game, I think, are awesome. I love them.
I like them too, and I'm not even playing on VR.
It's super cool in VR. Like I said, that'd be another video. But yeah, the graphics in here are so good. I don't know. As far as the space games, because when I played, what was that other one that came up? No Man's Sky, Eve. Or Eve. Well, Eve had pretty decent graphics too.
They were okay.
But this is just, it's, I wouldn't say it's the best looking game in the world, but this is a nice looking game. And it's beautiful too. Like if you're into the space travel kind of stuff, it is super cool. And you can come up to a planet and just fly, like if it's a landable one. With Horizons, you can land on a lot of these now. But you can go, and just like in No Man's Sky or anything else, you come right up to this planet and it just broadens out, and before you know it, the horizon is completely, it's not curved anymore. You'll start to see all the craters and everything, and it works so well how you just come into this planet. It's very cool. And then you can land and get on your little rover and drive around and shoot things and do quests down there. They have little ports and space ports and stuff where you do quests on the planets and stuff too. So, but I think the graphics are great.
I was going to say, I think they've done it so well transitioning from open space to starport, or from, open space to planet, from planet to landing, because the only time you ever see a loading screen is when you're docked at a station and you're going from one menu to the other.
Right.
You don't ever see a loading screen when you go from space to a planet, or from planet to touchdown. It's all just seamless, and it's really draws you in.
Yep.
It's very immersive in that way.
So I was taking a drink of water there. A little bit of a delay in the.
Thanks for the cue.
Thought you were going to say like a couple more words. I thought I had a second. Now, as far as what are your opinions on gameplay there, Matt?
It's tough. It's tough at first, but it begins to get easier, and once it gets a little bit easier, I mean, even combat still, for me right now, is really hard.
Well, talk about the quest we just tried doing right before we started this video.
Yeah, so basically this quest is go into a low intensity conflict zone and side with one side. I'm getting feedback. So you go into a conflict zone, side with one side, and then try and destroy 8 of their aircraft or spacecraft, and it's hard. I mean, you fly into a conflict zone and it's basically, like Matt said, all out war where ships are firing on ships back and forth, and if you decide I'm going to side with this side, they're all the other ones, they don't immediately target you, but you become a target. And they'll target you and they won't relent. It's if they're on you, dude, these guys are shooting everything they got at you because they're trying to stay alive too, and these are all NPCs. Yep. And as far as I know. But I mean, it's really tough. The gameplay is hard, but once you play it, you get better at it, just like any other game, and it draws you in. It's hard but satisfying, though. I mean, it's one of those games. We were getting involved with some stuff that we shouldn't get involved in too. Yeah. But you and I took on a couple of guys that were ranked quite a bit, like 2 or 3 ranks above us, and that's a lot. Like, one rank is a lot. It's not like a level in an MMO. I mean, there's like 5 or 6 rankings totally to go from elite down to useless or whatever the first one is that we are. Yeah. We took on some guys that were, a couple ranks above us, and when we took them out, I mean, we were cheering. Like, I remember cheering.
Nice.
And we were, it was just, we had learned a little bit about it and how to take them out and what to do, and changing our weapons up a little bit so we could take their shields down faster, you know, and stuff like that, that really, you know, it was just really satisfying when we got those kills. And another thing that was cool too, when we were doing it, I've told you so many times playing this, I've never felt like Han Solo ever before, or Luke Skywalker piloting a ship, except when I play this game. When we get into those, and I can see you flying around, and we're talking, and then they immerse you that much more. Like we use Discord for everything, Discord or Mumble for voice chat all the time, except in this game we close all that crap out and we chat in game because it sounds like those radios, those like AM radios or whatever.
Their in-game chat is actually really good too.
So cool.
I've never had a problem with it.
No, I never have
the
either.
Whole time that we played, and it sounds really cool. The voice modification.
When we first started playing, I thought we were having problems on occasion, but I found out it's built into the game. That voice chat in the game sometimes will get kind of garbled, but they're doing that to simulate like how those radios sound, or like, you know, a ham radio or whatever. You know, it's really cool that has that AM sound, that telephony sound. But it's perfect. It absolutely nails it. It's just, I use Star Wars as a reference all the time, but just like when they're, you know, Red 3 ready, you know, standing by or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, we feel like that when we're playing it. It's so awesome.
Dude, yeah, I'm telling you, if you haven't bought this game by the time the Young Han Solo movie comes out, go watch it, and then you're going to want to fly a spaceship. You're going to come back, and you're going to buy this game.
Make sure you have, at the very minimum, a controller. To go along with it.
Or a Wookiee.
Nice. Well done.
So one of the things Chad had mentioned or asked was like the story in the game, like what the story has to, or if there is any or whatever. So we figured we'd kind of touch on that too. It's mostly a sandbox game. It's mostly a make your own story. You know, there is a big overall arc that's going on, and you do kind of have an effect in it, but you don't play through a story necessarily.
Right.
It's sandbox. You go in, you're a merchant, you're a pirate or whatever you want to be in this, and you kind of play through your story. But at the same time, they've done, I know in the previous patches, they brought an alien race that supposedly hadn't existed for, you know, hundreds of millions of years or whatever, and they've shown back up, and they're kind of messing with people. And Frontier, the developers, didn't tell anyone. They didn't let the cat out of the bag about what's going on and why these things are here. People will just be flying along and get interdicted, and then these aliens will shut all their stuff down, and then they'll do some scans and do some other stuff, and either, you know, screw them over or just leave them alone. So people were trying to find out, the community was trying to figure out what these aliens are here for and what they're doing. And with this most recent expansion that they just released, they've advanced that part of the story a little bit more. You can get, I think, a ship to fight the aliens now, and some of their technology and stuff like that with this most recent expansion. So there is an overall story arc, but you're kind of a passive. You're not affecting it necessarily, but you couldn't be affected by the story, if that kind of makes sense.
Yep.
Okay.
So, I don't know, is there anything I missed on that, Matt? I know I'm kind of talking a lot on this one.
No,
I really like this game. I don't know if people have figured it out yet.
I do too. Like when because you were trying for a long time to get me to buy this. And I would log into Steam and I would see, oh, Matt's playing Elite Dangerous again. What a loser. But not so much, because as soon as I bought it, it went on sale. I think it did.
Yes.
When I bought it, yeah. So it went on sale. I purchased it then, and dude, it hooked me like right away.
Yep.
Like every time Matt got on, he was like, "Dude, I'm really glad that you're enjoying this game."
I know,
I really
was
like it,
and I was worried. I even told you, because of how the ratings are on Steam and everything else, I was reluctant to push you into it too much, because I didn't want you to. I didn't want you to go spend that kind of money and then to either not play with me or to not enjoy the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, I was definitely reluctant to push you too hard into it, but I think it went on sale because it's normally $30. I think it went on sale for like $7.50 or something on Steam. So if you're on the fence, wait for that.
Oh yeah,
that sale will come around again.
It's well worth the money.
Well worth it. And we ended up getting like the full Commander's pack with all the expansions and the other stuff too.
And then what do they do? Like the year, anything that releases within the year or something, kind of like Battlefield and stuff like that. Yeah, the season pass.
Yeah, kind of. Like this one, if so long as you own Horizons, you got, which was 2.0, you got 3.0 for free. So you still, if you buy the game today, you can buy the original game, which is the original game, and if you buy that expansion, that Horizons expansion pack, you'll get Horizons and this one, which was, what was this one called again? Something Chapter 1 Beginning?
Yeah, I actually moved on from there because we were talking about other things.
That's all right. So that's kind of how the story and the expansions, and basically what Horizons brought in. They brought in character creation. They brought in landing on planets, quests on planets, introduced the alien race.
It's called Beyond.
Beyond, the new one is? Okay.
Yep.
So... But
it feels like they're starting to add more narrative, though. I mean, which
I
think is a really good thing. I think
they are.
Because,
go ahead.
Yeah, I did see the graphics. I mean, like I said, I don't have the experience like you guys have at all, but I mean, it is a gorgeous game. I think, especially. I know you're going to talk about VR another time, but the VR too was just that. I played it at your house, and that day is like, oh, I absolutely gonna have to get this in VR.
I know.
It's that nice. So I mean, it does look amazing.
And it's cool because you can, if you don't have a VR now, but you want to get one someday, you can buy Elite now and play it normal. And this is the VR version. When you launch it, it just asks if you want to play it in VR or normal. Which most games you'll buy a second VR. Like if Skyrim and Fallout and all these other ones that come out, you have to buy another game to be able to play those games in VR, and this one you just get the whole thing. And another thing that's cool about Elite, if you buy it on Steam, you also can just download the client and play it outside of Steam, and you can get it on Oculus.
Yep.
So that's one of, I think it's the only game I've ever seen where you buy it and it's just available on all of the platforms to download, which is amazing. That's super awesome. Because I have an Oculus and I've been launching it from Steam, and I prefer to not do that, if you know what I mean, but I wasn't going to buy it again on Oculus, and when I found out you could do that, they give you a key for each one when you get that, which is cool. And the developers have been very good about paying attention to the players and really, I think, crafting a game around the players. I mean, they're doing what they want to do, but they're doing a lot of patches and a lot of just things like that, giving the keys out to everybody and stuff, not making people buy it twice if they decide they want it on VR or whatever.
Right. They're giving you the options.
Yeah.
To play, which is pretty cool, which, like you said, most developers won't do. You want Fortnite on PC, you're getting it on PC. If you want it on Xbox, you have to buy it on Xbox,
So, I guess the cash shop was one of the other things, too, we had talked about. So, and basically, it does have a cash shop, but it's pretty much cosmetic. I haven't been in there and bought anything, so you'll have to be the one solely to speak of that, Matt, because I don't know.
I haven't bought anything either, but it pops up it pops up every time. And I was looking at, I actually changed my character's outfit today.
Oh, did you?
I went from gray to black, and then put a helmet on. So, I mean, there are some things that you can do without purchasing them, but the cash shop is aesthetic, and it's basically just skins for paint jobs for your ship, and the color of your lasers or the colors of your thrusters, that kind of thing. So it's nothing's gonna break the game by no one's gonna break the game by going into the cash shop. There's no whales.
Right. Which
no
is
whales
good.
in space.
So I don't know. I think we've pretty much covered everything that there is. Yeah. I mean, do you know of anything that we've missed or that we
not that I can think of.
Should have talked about?
Horizons is really cool.
Yeah.
Being able to go down to the planets really immerses you, because I don't think this game would be as fun if you couldn't go down to the planets.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that adds a huge
element to
element to the game. Yeah. I mean, just being able to see. I'm an explorer, and I liked No Man's Sky, but it got repetitive after a while. but I enjoyed the first couple hours like everyone else did of getting in a ship, flying somewhere, dropping down to going down to the planet, checking out what was there, and then moving on and doing the next thing to the next one. And that feeling you get of leaving and then the next one coming in, and throwing that into this game is awesome. Now, there's not life on all of these planets like there are in No Man's Sky. Every planet is inhabited by weird dinosaurs with duckbills and legs coming out of their ass and whatever else they have on there. So that's what made that, like, discovering life wasn't really interesting on No Man's Sky when I played it, because every place I went had it. So these are just like flying around. If you're flying around the solar system, which you can do, you can target.
Around.
You know what? One thing we didn't mention that we do need to bring up before we get going here is the map. I know you talked about the galaxy map. So, okay. So here we are. I'm just going to zoom out. I am in this star system right here. Now, these are stars. These are whole different solar systems here. And I'm going to zoom out and, I don't know what's in here, 20 stars maybe. Now, all these little blue and green specks are all stars on here, and there's hundreds of them. And then you zoom out and there's probably hundreds of thousands of them, and now you zoom out, and when you look at the whole speck of the galaxy, we're just on this tiny little cloud outside of here. And this is this is the Milky Way. This is not just it is so huge, and this is basically the only place people are playing,
right?
Like, it's actively playing.
It's massive.
But you can go wherever you want to go in here,
just take off,
and it's pretty amazing. And you can find the sun, and you can target the sun and actually go there, which I'll do here. I'll check and see how far away it is from where we're at. So it's a little ways away.
I was gonna say, I think it's really far from where we are. But we haven't traveled that far away from where we started either.
And then you can go into the solar system map, and it shows it linearly. But so this is our sun and Mercury, Venus. There's Earth, and you can actually target this and fly around to Earth, which is pretty
Do they have
cool.
any space stations there?
Yeah, there's one called Abraham Lincoln or something. Let me see. Oh, that's the moon.
Nice.
Yeah, the Abraham Lincoln is one of them. And then the Li Qing Zhao and the M Gorbachev. I didn't know there was a Gorbachev. That's funny. Nice. And then the moon has a satellite orbiting it, and it's the Galileo.
Oh, nice.
So there's a space station that's actually circling our moon as well. And you can go check out all these moons around Neptune and Jupiter and fly through the asteroid belt. It's just cool that you can do that. So that's just the one thing I wanted to show, like, the enormity of this.
The enormity, yeah. And not only is it, the 400 billion stars that they talked about, but they also go beyond that. And what they do is they call it the void, and it's vastly unexplored. And there's no space stations or anything out there that anybody knows of yet. But that's the thing. It's, no one knows for sure. Yep. Exactly. There could be one out there.
So I would say I'm definitely obviously keeping this game installed. It is amazing. It is a lot of fun. I would recommend it to anyone that's into space exploration and a realistic space game. If you want, Space Invaders, or, you know what I mean? This isn't that.
Right. If you want Space Invaders and Eve, which are pretty much on the same playing field, this is that for you. But if you want something that's actually, a game that is a simulated, it's simulating you flying through space and doing what you want with your ship.
Yeah.
This game is for you.
This game is, yep, definitely. It's a lot of fun. Graphics are great. The gameplay is fun. There is a little bit of waiting. Getting from one area to another sometimes, but if you enjoy the thought of exploring space, that makes you feel like an explorer. You wouldn't feel like it if you were just popping into planet all the time, planets and whatever, and didn't have to wait 2 or 3 minutes to get from place to place, or sometimes longer.
Right.
But that's usually when I'm Googling stuff that I don't know about the game.
Right, like everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely keeping this one installed and trying to talk Chad into it.
Yeah, we got to get him to start playing it with us.
We got Jason into it. He's a hauler. I'm
Yes, he is.
I like to call myself a freedom fighter.
I'm just a mercenary. I just do whatever and then explode.
And then explode.
I'm a,
Hit my eject button.
I am no longer needed here. Boom.
Have you had your cockpit windows shut out?
Yes, it's awesome.
Oh my god, dude, it's so cool. Even though it sucks at the same time, it's pretty freaking sweet because you have a life support system on the ship and it kicks in and it's like telling you, you know, you've got this much time to either get back to a base or you're gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool.
It is pretty awesome. And there's, I'm just gonna move. It's neat watching the sticks move when you move the sticks yourself. And when this place exploded on me, when I died the last time and everything was started smoking near my feet and the windshield got all cracked and like shit on the left started lighting on fire and stuff, and I'm like, oh god, this doesn't look good, Matt. It doesn't look
not
good.
even that, but when you were self-destructing your ship earlier
Oh,
get
yeah.
back to where we were, he goes, I think my VR headset's scratched.
Oh yeah, I
And
did.
he takes it off and he looks at it, and then he puts it back on, and it's his freaking cockpit's cracked.
Yeah, it was the helmet that my guy had on
That's cool.
was cracked, and I was like, oh my god, there's something seriously wrong with my VR. So I would take it out and look, and I'm like, is light getting in or something? What's going on? And I put the Oculus back on, and I'm like, oh, this is horrible. I'm pissed because I can't return this thing now. And then I finally realized, I looked on the screen on, you know, because it's the same thing's on my computer screen as well, and I'm like, oh, the cracks are there, but it totally had me buying it that my headset was like cracked or something.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And I had a sense of dread as well, so
Yeah.
it was kind of uncomfortable watching all this stuff get ready to go. But so thank you guys for joining us. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. We're live streaming a little bit more often. You can check Matt out at Playmats Gaming on YouTube and Twitch. And also the Thaco Gamers are on Twitch. Feel free to swing by and give either of us a view on there if we happen to be playing a game that you're interested in. And I guess that's
both
it.
a thumbs up.
Yeah, give us thumbs ups and follows and all that kind of stuff, because we want to do this for a living. We decided we're going to quit our real jobs.
Lots and lots of phone numbers.
We're going to be really, really irresponsible parents and quit our jobs and do this.
Dude, I haven't worked in like a week and a half.
Yeah.
It's not going well.
Yeah. So, anyways, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Chad, for being a bystander here in the video and for throwing a little bit of info in and questions and comments, because you think of things that people probably would have thought of and we wouldn't have said. So
No worries. It was fun.
So, all right, we'll see you guys later.
See ya.
Bye.